All right, today we are going to tackle a topic that, let's be honest, has caused a ton of confusion over the last few years. We're going to demystify how respiratory diseases actually spread, and we'll do it by looking at the very latest science that's changing the game. Welcome to Infectious Diseases TV. We share useful information about infectious diseases. So let's just dive right in. Droplets, aerosols, airborne. I mean, if you've ever felt like your head was spinning trying to keep these terms straight, I get it. You are definitely not alone. For a long time, it felt like a mess of conflicting information. But today, we're going to clear all of that up. Okay, so to really understand where we are now, we have to take a quick trip back in time. We need to look at the old model, the one that public health was built on for decades. I like to call it the classic two-box model, and you'll see why in a second. This was the old rulebook. Everything was sorted so neatly, right? In one box, you had droplet infections. These were the big particles, over 5 micrometers. Think of them like tiny cannonballs. They're heavy, they drop pretty fast, and you get sick if one makes a direct hit. Then, in the other box, you had airborne infections. These were the tiny particles, the ones that could just hang in the air for hours, floating around like smoke. Measles is the classic example here. It all seems so simple, maybe a little too simple. And here's the twist. That super neat and tidy model, well, it's pretty much obsolete. As our tools have gotten better and we've learned more, we've realized that the way things work in the real world is, you guessed it, a whole lot messier than just two simple boxes. And the whole thing really falls apart when you look closely at this one magic number, 5 micrometers. For decades, this was the hard and fast dividing line. But scientists started asking a really important question. Does nature actually care about our neat little cutoff? The answer, we now know, is a resounding nope. So here's the reality check. When we talk, cough, or even just breathe, we don't produce big particles or small particles. We produce a whole cloud, a continuous spectrum of all different sizes. And it gets even more complicated. A bigger droplet can actually shrink as it travels through the air, turning into a smaller one that can float. Plus, things like airflow or how humid a room is can totally change a particle's journey. So that single dividing line, it just doesn't hold up. Okay, so if the old model is broken, what's next? Well, this is the exciting part. Scientists and major health organizations have come together to create a new, much more accurate way of looking at this, a unified framework to get everyone on the same page. And look, this isn't just some fringe idea. This is a huge deal. Just this year, the World Health Organization itself came out and said it, loud and clear, we should not be using a single size cutoff anymore. That's a massive official shift in how we understand disease spreading. So let me introduce you to the new hero of the story, the infectious respiratory particle, or IRP. The beauty of this is its simplicity. An IRP is any particle that comes out of our mouth or nose that could be carrying a pathogen. It doesn't matter if it's big, small, or somewhere in between. If it can make you sick, it's an IRP. Boom. No more confusing debate about droplets versus aerosols. So with IRPs, we stop obsessing over size and start focusing on what actually matters. How do these particles get into our bodies? And there are really two main pathways. First, there's airborne transmission. That's just breathing them in. And this can happen whether you're close to someone or across the room. Second is direct deposition. That's when those particles act like that ballistic missile and get sprayed directly onto your eyes, nose, or mouth. Okay, the science is cool, for sure. But what's the so what for us in our everyday lives? Well, this is why it's a game changer. This new understanding helps us get so much smarter and more effective about how we protect ourselves because it makes it crystal clear why certain things work. Let's just walk through this because it makes so much sense now. Ventilation, opening windows, using air purifiers. That's all about tackling airborne transmission by clearing those floating IRPs out of the air. Physical distance, that's a double whammy. It gets you out of the direct spray zone, and it also lowers the amount of stuff you might breathe in. And masks? Well, masks are the all-stars here. They put up a physical barrier that works against both modes of transmission. So look, if you take away just one single thing from our conversation today, let it be this. The air we share really, really matters. We've shifted from thinking just about close contact splashes to understanding that the entire volume of air in a room is part of the story. And that leaves us all with a really big question to think about. When we're in offices, in schools, on a train, knowing that the air itself is a pathway, how do we start working together to make all those indoor spaces we share safer and healthier for every single one of us? That's a challenge that's bigger than any one person, for sure.
This is Infectious Diseases TV. Please like and subscribe.